Welcome back to another edition of the Just in Time podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and with me is Will. How
What's
you
up, brother?
doing?
How you doing? How you doing, homie?
Doing a lot better.
Yes,
I
sir.
was, I was pissed on Saturday.
Oh, we gonna get into good. Listen, Oh man, we gonna get into it.
Man.
Oh,
But
brother.
they started off last week. They played great.
Yes.
I mean, they won on Tuesday. I'm not going too much into that. They won on Tuesday. That's the takeaway. They didn't play great, but they didn't play terrible. The offense
Yeah.
showed up just enough to get a victory.
Yep.
That's all we needed. That's fine. The offense took advantage of Oklahoma on Thursday night.
hmm
Thursday night, Oklahoma had 3 errors in one inning. We scored 4. You know, you take advantage of those things. See what happens when you take advantage of stuff, that errors that go wrong, instead of you making an error and the other team takes advantage of it. It works out a little better for you.
It's a different feeling.
But, on on Friday night, we didn't play a bad game. We didn't play a clean game, and that cost us at the end. But we didn't play a bad game. I really think what cost us in that game was when Cooper Moore went down. We didn't have a reliever ready to go. We had to bring a guy in.
Mhm.
And against the number 8 team in the country, you've got to be mentally prepared. And when you're not prepared to go in at a certain point, you're just not prepared. But the offense was dead.
It's disappointing, man. The thing is, you go into these series and you know what the issues are. Just the thing is, you know, y- the talent's there. Because it'd be one thing to have, it'll be frustrating enough to not have a team with talent or just not have a good coaching staff. I mean, because there's only so much you can do with that. But just when you have the guys just on paper, like especially with the way they started this season, the way they just crapped the bed again this last couple games, outside of last night, of course, but just overall, it's just man, they left so much on the field.
Yeah. And so you move into Saturday, we start off good, but I said at some point during that game, having to come back with runners on the corners or in no outs or runners on first and second with no outs was going to come back to bite you. It didn't happen in the first couple of innings. Schmidt was able to get himself out, then Guidry was able to get himself out.
Yeah.
Jay Johnson, for the first time, made me question him.
Especially because you got the shirt on, the MJ we trust.
Yeah, where I questioned him was I wanted to know why leave Guidry in for the 8th. You should have
Yes.
put in your fresh
Yes. Big
arm.
story.
He was struggling towards the end, and we were able to get out without giving a run up. But why are we putting in a redshirt sophomore who hasn't had much college experience due to injury his freshman year? He's basically a freshman coming in the SEC. Why are we putting Sharon in with no outs and runners on first and second against the top of their lineup? Or let me check. Actually, I think he might have let Guidry load the bases before we made the swap.
Dude,
Yeah, let's see. That's stats. I don't want stats. I want the books. Let's see. He pulled him in the 8th. So first one walked, then a single up the middle, advanced in the 3rd, single and a walk. So the bases were loaded when we swapped Sharon in for Guidry. Then he comes in on 1 and 2 and hits a guy, and they scored. So your decision to leave Guidry in and not put Sharon in to start with ultimately ended up costing us that game.
yeah, that really I was perplexed by that as well because that was one of the big stories over the weekend because you see yourself losing it a little bit, and I'm just like, you know, if you stack up in the bullpen, just you got to get a fresh arm out there in that situation. Even
Yeah,
with Guidry's success this year, up like especially during the start of it, I would have wanted a fresher arm in there, given the
yeah, he was
struggles. Yeah,
he was obviously struggling. So as of filming last week, our team ERA was 5.24, 5.24 ERA. I wrote this down on Monday before last night's game,
yeah,
but it's still good. Our ERA on Monday, they brought it down almost a full point as a team. 4.44.
Yeah.
Then after last night, team ERA as it stands now is 4.69.
Good.
You know, and after last night, the batting average, team batting average dropped a little bit. It was 277, but they raised it back up to 283 last night.
Yeah. We had like I listened to Musso yesterday, like so before the yesterday's game. We had our batting average as a team had dropped almost 100 full points. Like since from after the first 8 games up until going into yesterday, it dropped like a full almost 100 points as batting
Yeah, it was
average.
up in like
It
368.
was like yeah, it was like in the high three.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it got to 370, but it was like high 360 though.
Yeah, it was high 360 and then it dropped down. But the biggest one for me of the weekend was Case and Evan entered that game with I think it was a 5.69 ERA or something like that.
Mm.
And he was able to bring it down to 4.8.
Yes, big time.
Yeah. But, the biggest thing for me over the weekend is, and what's going to come up in the next couple weeks, who is going to be the guy on this pitching staff to step up into that Sunday start, Because with offensive struggles, the way they've been, you know, it's a lot to ask for Evans and Schmidt to come through when we're struggling like that,
Yeah. I totally agree.
And then you've got your choices, you know. And I think he's kind of leaning towards going with Newt on Sunday, Jaden
Mm.
Newt, just because Newt was our midweek starter for a while, and he didn't pitch at all last night.
Right. Good catch.
Yeah, so I think that's where he's leaning. Cowan wouldn't be a bad guy, wouldn't be a bad one to start, but he's so clutch coming out the bullpen lately.
Yeah, that's the conundrum they have. Like, cause my ideal scenario to replace Cooper Moore, cause you're gonna bump him. Case is gonna be on Friday. Schmidt's going to Saturday. Ideally it'd be Cowan. That's just me. I would like to see
Yeah,
Cowan in that spot, but like you said, there's the bullpen aspect because you don't have the most dependable bullpen at this moment, even with the arm talents. But just because of this sensitive situation, I would like to see Cowan at least as of right now because of the
yeah.
experience.
I
So
mean, or I wouldn't. Let's see. I'm not gonna lie. I'd love to see. I'm gonna go ahead and use that new app to pull it up. Let's see. I think Plug's a lefty, and I wouldn't mind putting him in if I'm being 100%. Yeah, he's a
mhm.
lefty. 2-0, 5.68. ERA, but that's not terrible. It's giving you a different look. You've got two hard throwing righties. At this point, you're gonna go on to Sunday with and go Johnny Holstaff anyway. You might as well put him in for the first 2 innings, 2 or 3 innings, let him get you what he can,
Right.
because there's no telling. They could say Cooper Moore is coming back in 2 to 3 weeks, but they kept saying that with Guidry last year, and
Yep.
in
Next
23
door.
they said it
Yes.
with Edwards and Chase Shores that they were coming back. They were coming back. They never got healthy enough to come back.
Yes.
So there's no telling if he will be back. So you need somebody to develop in that role.
Yeah, they said it was about a month is what I heard, but like I said, I don't. You just got to get. Nonetheless, you got to get somebody to step in ASAP that you can rely on. 'Cause that's a
Yeah,
massive loss, man. Gosh, that's a massive loss.
yeah. But, you know, on Thursday night, I was sitting there at that game. Okay. The box wasn't packed as usual, like as it usually is, because it was a Thursday night game at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
You could hear the guys from the bench cheering for their teammates. They were loose, they were having fun. Friday and Saturday, there was no fun showing. This team doesn't have an attitude. They don't have that strong personality that other teams in the past have. They don't hate to lose more than they love to win. And it's showing because we have a bunch of guys who I think the only two position players on that 24 team. And I mean, you can throw Stanfield in because Auburn didn't get good until after he left and came to LSU last year.
Yeah.
So you got Stanfield, Brown, and Milam. The rest of them on that team have no idea what it's like to struggle. They just probably
Yeah.
thought they were going to come to LSU and LSU was going to be this Omaha team. They were going to win. They don't know what it's like to struggle because you've got guys like Pearson and Aaron Beatty and Curiel. They were on that great team from last year as freshmen. So they don't know what it's like to struggle. Those guys that were there before him, and Milam, who keeps playing outstanding, he can stand to get a little better at the plate. But,
Yeah.
you know, Stanfield, who shout out to him, home run the other day, first one of his season.
Yep.
Aaron Beatty, he's struggling. But Aaron Beatty, I can't say Aaron Beatty. Jake Brown, Jake Brown's
Yeah.
killing it at the plate, or was. He cooled off a little bit.
Yeah. This was like his worst week.
Two
but he's carried
errors,
the
two
whole. Yeah.
throwing errors.
Yeah.
But they don't hate to lose, and they're not having fun. And
Baseball should be
baseball should be
fun.
fun.
Come on, camera. There you go,
And,
camera. See, the
you know,
camera's waiting on you. You the star, not the shirt.
you know,
There you go.
winning is fun,
Yes.
and baseball should be fun.
Yes. There you go.
You can get that T-shirt from Blank Canvas Tees.
Don't forget people. Blank canvas. See.
You can also get this one in Jay We Trust from Blank Canvas Tees. But they're not having fun out there. That's the problem with a bunch of major league teams is they don't have fun. That's why some of them are so hard to watch. They're just not having fun. But especially at this level, at this college level, you should be having fun. You should be going out there and having fun. Some of you aren't gonna see these guys again after this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Y'all will never play with these guys again in this team in this time. So you've got to go out there and have fun with your friends and play baseball. And that's all it should be about. You're not having fun and it shows. The one game I watched this week there, you had fun and you were cutting up. You beat the number 8 team in the country 7-1, But it's evident to me that some of these guys, they don't hate to lose more than they love to win. And that's a problem. Winning is fun, but if you don't hate to lose, and it's not just hating to lose, you got to hate to lose more than you love to win.
That's exactly right. And the thing is, when you have that attitude, that should be reflected in your performance. Like you said, it should reflect in the morale. Because, like, when I see all these inconsistencies on the team, that doesn't show, like, I can't get a idea of that you hate to lose more than you love to win. You know what I mean? It's so vastly inconsistent right now on the field. There's like still the same fielding issues, inconsistent pitching, subpar offense all around. And we're gonna get to the pluses in a second, but
Yeah.
man, it's just like gosh, like I said, it's still the season's still really young. So I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not pressing the panic button, but I know we had said previously, I said if they still look like this coming weekend, like we said give it 3 SEC weekends. If they still look at subpar, then
yeah,
that'd be a different story.
here, look at it this way, okay? They were talking about it last night. The league is so close together as
Mhm.
far as talent goes.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, Auburn, Kentucky, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Arkansas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 teams are tied for first place at 4 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 is tied for second at 3 and 3. And then 1, 2, 3 are tied for third at 2 and 4. And then the bottom 2 are 1 and 5. So the bottom 2 teams in the SEC are only 3 games out of first place. In the bottom 1, 2, 3, the bottom almost, the next one's LSU at 2 and 4 is still only 2 games out the top.
Yeah.
Out of first place. There's still time to get it together with the way this league is busted out.
Sure.
That you can get in it. And you've got one of the top teams this weekend coming to your place.
That's right.
To your house. You can't let them beat you at your house.
You cannot give up another series, man. You gave up 2 series so far in conference.
And you've got 2 road series back to back at 2 tough places to play coming up.
Tell me about it.
So you need to get it together now and play your best ball, you know? You need to come now, you need to get it together, you need to play. I mean, like we said, batting average, you need to get that. This weekend needs to be the weekend that your offense comes out of its slump. You're at 283 right now. You need to get that batting average back to either in the 290s or at 300. The ERA is at 4.69. You dropped it down almost a full point from last week. You didn't walk too many people. You know, you gave up a bunch of hits, but some of those hits, they beat the Oklahoma just beat the shift.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I get the need where you need to play this, you need to play that, but at some point you just got to ditch the shift. Let them play straight up and let them play their position and field their position.
Yeah.
You know, the only reason we have a couple the double plays we have defensively is because of Milam. Now, I don't know if Will saw, but I added a category for week in and week out.
Yeah. So
We need to get our fielding percentage up. We got to play clean baseball. You can't be having throwing errors. You know, let's see. Where's Stephen Milam? Out on this list. Should be at the top. Yeah, there we go. Milam has more double plays than 2, so I can't count that. But, you know, you gotta up the double plays. We gotta get it going. You gotta play Milam at short, either Caraway or Pearson at third. You gotta leave him at third
Mhm.
and let him play straight up, because where those guys hit that and beat that shift was where a third baseman should be. And I get that you want a sure hand on the other side of that bag when you move Milam from short to second
Mhm.
during those shifts, but at some point you can't beat. You gotta trust your fielders to make that position.
And that's the thing, though. So just like you have to put, in order to trust the fielders, you got to have people you can trust.
Exactly.
So, like, I
And, you
mean,
know,
yeah,
I think we're still figuring out our best 9 to put out there. I think the outfield is locked down. I think
yeah, for
shortstop is
sure.
locked down.
Yes,
I
100%.
did like the move on Saturday, put Sana at first.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
And I'm not going to lie. Yes, we need York to pick it up and start hitting and get his confidence back up. I think we need Cerna over at first base more than we need York.
I'm with you there. Like he's just light on his feet. Just like more, been more steady. I like
Yeah,
his, I like his upward trend right now. He
yeah.
made a
And
couple
I
good
think
plays.
if we're not gonna use him behind the plate, I think we need to put York at DH and have him at first base. And as far as catching goes, I think we need to give Eddie Yaman a try.
Mhm.
I mean, Cerna looked great last night, but we've got too many pass balls getting across. One cost us a run this weekend. I think 2 of them cost us a run. It was both Aaron Beatty, I think. Let
Yep.
one kick out to the side when he should have blocked it straight up. That can't happen, you know? We need to get it together, play clean ball, and play pitch and catch, you know? That's what it all boils down to. You've got to play clean ball. You got to play clean. Let's see how many errors we got now. We had fielding 32 total errors. So we jumped up from last week's 25 to 32. We jumped up in errors. We need to clean it up. You got to play clean ball. There's no reason you should be making this many errors. Jake Brown, hit your cutoff, man. You've made 2 throwing errors this past weekend that cost us runs because you threw it into the dugout and they automatically advanced. You know, we've got to play clean baseball. That's the only way we're going to win. You can't win in this league and play sloppy ball. You've got to play straight up, clean baseball. Offense has to pick it up. You know, we can't. I think Jay Johnson said one of his goals was team goal was to have 3 consecutive, just put the ball in play, clutch at bats with runners in position.
Yeah, like basically string together like 3 to 4 hits,
Yeah,
like
string
3
together
different
3 to
times,
4 hits and
like 3
make
different
it hurt.
times. Yeah,
We only strung together one we only did that once. When you've got runners in scoring position, like, we had the bases loaded and didn't get anything in game 3 against Oklahoma.
yeah. That's but let me see if I put a note on that. Just still be up here. But yeah, I was like, and when I saw that, I'm like, I don't like that. Is not good. You guys did not take advantage of that. I'm like, man, it's like,
No,
what else do you need? Yeah,
you've
it was,
gotta
yeah. Said it was the time to take the lead and we blew it. That's why I
yeah,
knew I put it in cast. I was like,
you've
that was the
got to
time.
let's see, I wrote some notes on, I think Thursday night's game. I don't think I wrote notes anything. No, I didn't end up writing notes. I just wrote down the beginning, guys. But, especially when you've got pitchers who go out there and they're giving it their all.
Yes.
And the new award, I wouldn't even call it an award because if you're proud to get this, there's something wrong with you. That we're
That's
giving
that's,
out is OVP, least valuable performance or least valuable player. This
that's it.
week's least valuable performance, and this is coming from 2 weeks, is game would have been tied. Taylor made double play ball hit straight to second baseman at the time, Jack Ruckert, who I believe we had just taken Caraway out of the game.
Yep, sure did. I was like, man, oh man.
Which, you know what? I won't just put it on Jack. I'll put
It was the entire
we've got another one who deserves to be there. And so let's just start from the beginning. The half inning before that, in the bottom of the seventh, Jay Johnson pulls Trent Caraway and pinch hits for Tanner Reeves. Why? I don't know. Tanner Reeves is like allergic to getting hits. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. He couldn't hit a ball off a tee at this point. He just looks really bad at the plate. Why are we pinch hitting for him? If you're going to pinch hit, put Jack Ruckert in, which, by the way, Jack Ruckert got the least valuable performance of the week. And I put a note here. If you get on this least valuable performance list, you lose. That's negative points for the Powerhouse poll. I don't think Tanner Reeves or Ruckert are on this poll, but they at least have -1 right now. They got to make a comeback. But Tanner Reeves
Ugh.
Jay Johnson consistently puts him into these positions in these big games. And I don't know if it's because he's a veteran, but he just looks really bad at the plate. Like he swings at air, you know?
Yeah.
But I got sidetracked. Here's two tailor-made double play balls hit straight to Jack Ruckert. He didn't even have to move. They didn't look to be that difficult of balls to field. Boots it. Not only that, he couldn't even finish the play to get the out in the game on Saturday. That cannot happen.
And what's
You
crazy, he's
were
supposed to be the defensive replacement. You were
yeah,
the defensive replacement.
you were the sure-handed defensive guy there. That's why they put you there. In 2 weeks in a row, you boot two tailor-made ground balls. And here's the kicker. Sharon, he must hate Sharon, and Sharon must hate him because both times that's who was on. Devin Sharon was on the mound looking to get out of an inning. Tailor-made ground ball to your second baseman Jack Ruckert, and he boots it both times. Don't know what the problem is, but that cannot happen. We've got to get it together, start turning these double play balls, because if you can't do the basics, and at this point you're in college, you're in college. Catholic High has been one of the top-ranked high schools in the state of Louisiana and is constantly on national polls for high school baseball. That's where you come from.
Yes.
So you can field a ground ball and turn a double play. There's no moment too big for you. You played in big moments before. Let's field the ball and get it out. You don't see Milan making that kind of mistakes. I mean, in his defense, comparing anyone to Milan is basically comparing him to a Major League Baseball player right now. But, let's get it together. But, let's take a small break. And this is still talking about LSU baseball. But how you like Maneri getting fired in the middle of a series?
Man, oh man. They said it's been really bad, man. Just I haven't looked at their games so far, but they said it got really ugly. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie, I was surprised that he did it during the seasons, especially this early. I thought he was gonna get canned at season's end, but I didn't think he's
I
gonna be
thought
this
he
early.
was. Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be this early.
Yeah,
Normally, baseball teams, unless you got a guy like the Alabama coach a couple years ago that was betting against his team, normally they don't fire baseball coaches in the middle of the season unless
right.
it's traumatic.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to fire him after his first year because I heard he lost the locker room and stuff in the first year,
So
but that didn't happen. But let me ask you a question, and I'm going to ask this, and hopefully I can get this cut as a clip. When you think of college baseball over the last 30 years, who do you think of when you think college baseball?
unless
You think LSU, you think Texas. Who have you never thought of other than 2 years in that? I'll give you one better, almost 40 years. Go back to the 1990. You go back to 40 years. You think of LSU, Mississippi State, Texas. But I see videos on TikTok and stuff of South Carolina podcasters and sports writers and everything saying South Carolina used to be the name in college baseball. No, you were never the name. You were the name for 2 years because you won the national championship back to back. Then you
brother,
fell off completely and you never got back on. Nobody ever thinks of South Carolina for anything other than women's college basketball.
it's a reality.
What other sport can you think of that you would think? College football. Who's your names in college football off the top of your head?
College football, we got Ohio State, Michigan, Bama, Notre Dame. Just to name a few. My Tigers, our Tigers.
Yeah.
So just name a few. Just name a few.
All right. College basketball.
Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky. Just name a few.
Exactly.
UConn.
Guess who's never on that list?
Typically don't see South Carolina.
You can't claim you're not even the best team in your state to claim that you are an
It's
elite
tough, but
baseball team. I think of Clemson before I think of you for all of those sports.
uh,
But I'll give it to you. Those 2 years of what was it?
2010, 2011.
10 and 11, I'll give it to you. Yeah, you were an elite baseball team. You won a national championship 2 years in a row. But I can't say that I think about you when I look at the big picture and think over the past 3 or 4 decades, college baseball elite programs. I think LSU, Texas, Mississippi State. I don't think South Carolina. So no. But when I
Yeah.
saw that they lost to Arkansas 22-6 or 22-4, whatever it was, on Friday night, on Saturday, before I left the house to go to the game, I was talking to my mom and I said, Paul Maneri's gonna be back in Baton Rouge soon.
I forgot that was 5. That's so funny, dog.
Then
Gosh.
I just got to the game. I checked my phone. I'm on Facebook and it says Paul Maneri gone. Paul Maneri and South Carolina mutually part. I think I texted you and I was cutting up. Ugh.
Gosh. But just real like before we get back into it, just you asked me the question, about college baseball. Once upon a time, college baseball was really dominated in the West Coast. You got the legendary run of Rob Dedeau and the USC Trojans. You have obviously you have Fullerton. You had Arizona State in the 60s and 70s. You had later on, you got Oregon State in there. You got Stanford, of course. Then, as you and I got older, obviously the southeastern region of the country, Texas was always steady, Miami was always steady. Of course, we were always steady, but just you started to get to see the SEC really run its reign. And then the thing is, like I
Yeah.
said, we were in high school. That's when South Carolina won their championships. Like Ray Taylor did an
They're two.
incredible job
They're two.
too. Yeah, they gonna correct me. Look, see, that's two. Before y'all correct me.
Yeah.
No, but just
But
they did an incredible job. I mean, but like you said, even still, they just been lapped by Vandy. They've
yeah.
been lapped by, and you see
Oh,
everybody come. Yeah, go ahead.
speaking of Andy, I laughed so hard during that series. It was on the take it. This was Kyle Peterson and the ESPN, I think SEC network crew.
Mhm.
Wasn't the normal Vandy crew that was there.
Yeah.
They were talking about Vandy's national championships, and I think they said 2014 and 2017 was when Vandy won the championships. They pan out right behind the plate, and Vandy has their national championships written there, and it says 2014, 2019.
The- this
Like you can't read the camera and look anywhere at that stadium and see that they won it in
son,
19 and 14, not 17.
that's 17. Florida won in 17. Just so you know.
Unfortunately, Florida beat us for it in 17.
At our expense, unfortunately, you're right.
Yeah,
But I'm
but
just for fact checking. For
I
fact
hate
checking.
giving Florida credit. Credit where credit's due.
Of course.
Vandy would have had one, I believe, in 2021,
Oh
but
my
they played
gosh.
dirty. They played dirty. With the COVID rules, they played dirty. And that's how they made it to the championship to begin with.
But I'll tell you, like Lighter and Kuma Rock, bro, those dudes were
Yeah. And they lost to Ole Piss in that World Series. And I'm not saying that NC State would have won it all, but I think they got scared of NC State because NC State was playing hot. And that was when that COVID rules came out and all of that. And they couldn't field a team. But, back to the topic at hand, I was really impressed with our pitching this week.
me too. Definitely.
I was not as impressed last night when Ricking got got the boot in the
Yeah.
but I'm really impressed with how our pitchers stepped up. It's like they listened to me last week.
Yeah, they did, without question. They were on the fire.
It's like Case and Evans turned on our podcast and said, F that guy. I'm
For
going to go
sure.
show him what I could do. You did. Congratulations. You made it to number one on my powerhouse pitching post was Case and Evans.
That's right.
You dropped your ERA a full point. I'm amazed.
I'm amazed.
No, he was really, really good. 7 2/3. I think he had 15 Ks. Let me pull it up. Where is he at?
I got 7 2/3.
7 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 15 Ks.
Yes. Listen, he struck out. He had 15 Ks against 28 batters. He struck out half his batters.
Yeah,
So
you're amazing. You did amazing. Okay. Then my number 2 guy was Fatna.
yes, sir.
Talk about a kid with control issues lately. Came in, cleaned it up, got us where we needed to be. And then Zach Cowan has just been, since Vandy, has looked really, really good. And that's why he's on this list.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll let you do yours.
Yeah. So as far as for my pitching for week 6, obviously the no-brainer answer was Case and Evans. Like we talked about, 15 Ks, only 3 hits allowed and a walk allowed, and 7 2/3. 15 Ks on 20 against 28 batters faced. When you strike out half your batters, your opponent's batters, that's an incredible feat. And it's just but I just hate, and we're gonna get to this of course, but I just hate that he had yet another elite pitching performance go to waste in the series loss. It's the twice in the last
Yeah.
3 weeks. But we're gonna definitely get to that. I'm not gonna get too far ahead of myself. But so that Casey Evans was dominant, clear
No,
number
this is
one.
only one. It's only once in the last. No, they did lose the series to Sac State. Never mind. You're right.
Just like the fact that it's lost, it's wasted by a series loss. But we're gonna get onto that. So second
Yeah.
place, I put William Schmidt at second, and I'll say this because still very steady performance on paper. I just pulled it up. Yeah, so just 4 hits. He had 4 innings pitched. 6 hits, but he had 7 strikeouts. Only most of his batters faced. Really just trying to steady the ship with the pitching. Really, the starters had a really good outing. Obviously, it was their most dominant showing on paper outside of Evans, but they really kept the fort down for the team.
Yeah.
And then
And,
Yeah, go ahead.
These starting pitchers, with the exceptions of Evans this week, errors.
Yeah. Yes.
They killed Moore. They killed Schmidt.
Yes.
Actually, errors did not kill Schmidt because Schmidt went in. We had a 3-1 lead when Schmidt came out the game.
Which brings me to my third guy was Grant Fondo on for the third spot because really bailed out just with the situation, like you just said, just came in clutch in that sixth inning. When Moore got injured, the pitchers did their job. Like just overall, the starting guys really, really just did their job, just keeping Oklahoma off the scoreboard as long as they could. Offense let them down completely. The defense let them
Yeah,
completely. So those are my pitchings.
yeah. So, like, I'll go into offense. Mine is Omar Cerner Jr., number one. He's just been on fire.
Oh, gosh, let me tell you.
I like that bat. You got to find a way to keep that bat in the lineup, and you need to keep him on the field.
Yes, any way you can.
Yeah. So speaks for himself. Then I've got Pearson as my number two guy, just really clutch at bats.
Mhm.
Then because, and shout out to Stanfield for getting his first home run of the year. But
Yeah.
outside of that, he hit into a game ending double play. He hit into
Mhm.
so many double plays. I gave this to the third spot to Eddie Yaman.
Okay.
He didn't really he didn't hit, he found a way to get on base and contribute
Yeah.
offensively.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
we needed that over the weekend, and we're going to need that in futures to come. That's why he's on the list. I will say this, though, while I got for pitching, honorable mention, I will give it to Gavin Guidry.
Mhm.
Only reason that you didn't make my list this week is because your coach left you in too long and you looked bad in that eighth inning.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Only so much you can do with there.
Yeah. But, back to offense, and I'll pass it over to you.
So yeah, like I'm with you on the offense as far for number one, Omar Cerner Jr. Dude was electric all week, this whole stretch. Just like the guy has an 8 game hit streak. That's the highest on the team so far. Eight straight games with a hit. The guy's
Yeah.
been he's been clutch. He's been dominant this whole stretch.
Look, he hit one to Mexico last night.
Yes, that's right. Literally. Look, I caught that.
Yeah. Look, I was on the phone with my dad when I was watching the game, and he said, "How's Cerna doing tonight?" I said, "He hit one to Mexico." And he said, "Damn, he hit a home run that far?" I said, "No, he literally hit it to Mexico. That's the name of that left fielder."
Hey, listen, man, I ain't gonna say it's fake, but it's real.
Yeah.
No, but I got at second. I got John Pearson. Really, like I've seen him. Like this is like the best I've seen him personally at the bat. Normally see him like strike out a good bit, but just he's really got very productive this stretch. And like I know what you had said about Chris Stanfield. I gave Chris the narrow edge only because just like him coming off the injury and still contributing like he's contributing. That's a lot to ask for him, even though he's a veteran player. Plays really well
Yeah.
in conference way they're struggling offensively as a unit, as a team overall. I just like how he's really stepped in. It's a big
Yeah.
time guy, like you said earlier, got his first home run of the season. Obviously, injuries has compromised his performance, but just the fact that he's still able to be productive. Like you said, the grounding out to the double play is definitely not ideal, but when the offense
Yeah.
struggling the way they did, like for the guys to get the couple hits that he had a few hits this stretch, I gave him the narrow edge.
Yeah. I will say this. I like him as a leadoff.
Yeah.
You get him on, lead off the game, and like last night against Tech, it puts a little pressure on pitchers because he's got the speed.
Yes.
He can jump around out there. You puts a bunch of pressure on a offense and a catcher, a pitcher and a catcher in the defense. When you've got that kind of speed getting on to start a game off, and then you got a guy like Jake Brown behind him who can slap it anywhere. I will say this: I feel like we need to spread out our lineup, and I feel Jay has done that because you got Milam. It's been a consistent bat. Hasn't been a great at bat, but it's been a consistent bat. And he's farther towards the bottom now. It's a little more spread out. It's not as top heavy as a lineup as it used to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Then defense, man. You can't take Milam out that top spot.
You might as well put him in Sharpie at this point.
Yeah, he's
Like,
glued to that top spot.
yeah,
He's not coming off. That top spot is his. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the number one at the end of the season
he's on
because,
pace right now.
yeah,
if you're in the season right now, he's number one.
I mean, we're halfway through the season. I don't think either one of us had anybody else at number one the whole season. Curiel looked really, really good. And I'm going to preference this now. Okay. Cerna is my number three guy, not as a catcher, as a first baseman,
Yeah, gotcha.
because he was terrible behind the plate this weekend.
Yeah, like it's funny. I'll see
So I'm
because
going
we
to
gave him
preference
praise.
this,
Yeah,
and I even have it on here as first base. First base, he's amazing. I really think when he's not catching, you put him at first base and you DH York
yeah,
because York seems to be coming around with the bat. Leave York in the lineup, but put you more athletic first baseman at first base. Speaking of York, let me see if I can find that tweet from John Eads. All right, here we go. York, in his words, had his worst game of the season on Friday night. Got a text from Jay Johnson at 1 o'clock in the morning just telling him, you know, that he loves him and his teammates loves him and he'll do great things. He just needs to get out his system. I think they put him with a mental coach to kind of teach him to forget about the bad at bats and focus on the good at bats.
hmm
You know, that's why Jay Johnson is probably the best coach in college baseball.
yeah. I wouldn't call it probably. We got the best man, but I hear you.
I mean, I feel like we got the best. Look, we're struggling now,
hmm
but it's moves like moving Sona to first base, texting a guy at 1 a.m. I think 2 years ago we lost to Florida during the season. You get a guy like Jay Johnson. He said he stared up at the moon until 3 a.m. or something like that because he couldn't get it. They couldn't win. They couldn't do anything right. It really made him think. You get a guy like that where it matters. Not to mention in his second season, I think they put a for sale sign up at his house early on in the season, and he used that as motivation to win a national championship that year.
Look, a turning tide.
Yeah,
I can't wait till the
but
book comes out for sale.
yeah, but I got Cerna, first baseman Cerna,
First
as my
baseman, sir.
third defensive powerhouse poll to this week, and I'll let you go on.
So, like you said, we already talked about Stephen Milam. Basically, defense at this point is just a race for second place, honestly, because Stephen Milam ain't
Yeah,
going nowhere. What can like how many double plays? It's just like what it goes without saying. I'm not gonna even waste your time, brother. It's just like it's like Stephen Milam, the clear one. Derek Curiel is my second place guy. Really very loose and athletic in the outfield. Is really tracking on those fast moving balls and just really getting the
yeah,
diving plays. Once again, for number three, like you make a compelling case for your third guys. Just narrow edge to Chris Stanfield once again because I love. There's a play that stood out to me this week. Yeah, he was going back to Grambling. Just he had a big fly out in the top of the second to not allow the runner on third to stay on third. Now this is big to
yeah,
me because you're still in a stretch where you're struggling offensively. Even in the Grambling game, they had a struggle. Just
yeah,
like a lot of times, it's tough to really rank the guys at times because you want to wait, you want to look at the production, but you also like to weigh the context. With the struggling
yeah,
offense, I'm like, he made a big time play to get to keep the run from scoring, and just like I said, I know it was one
yeah,
play, but just like having him in the lineup, you just it bolsters the outfield the where was supposed to be where it was when the start of the season took place. It's tough, man. But like I
yeah,
get like I once again I'm gonna go Chris Stanfield to round it out.
yeah. And I will say I went between Chris Stanfield and Omar Cerna. What gave Cerna the edge for me is Chris Stanfield did something he never does,
Yeah.
and he misread a ball.
Yeah.
that scored him a run, put a runner in scoring position and scored a run, and that was huge for me.
Yeah, of course.
He never has that kind of mental mistakes, and that's what kept him off this week's poll
Yeah,
for me.
totally respect it. Totally respect it.
Yeah. Then I'll let you go ahead and give your
Homesteading Tiger.
Sitting Tiger.
Homesteading Tiger. Look, like I said, man, I'm with you. You said it already. The entire team, top to bottom, no consistency anywhere. You got the guys, man. It's just like I said earlier, their start. It's one thing to not have the ample talent, the ample coaching, because there's only so much that can be compensated for that. But when you see the potential, the potential's already flashed. You know, that's why. But potential only takes you so far. When the bats are cold, the pitching's hot. But when just like in
Yeah.
the Vandy series, you know, pitcher did not show up to Nashville that
No.
weekend whatsoever. But the offense came alive. Sac State series and the Oklahoma series, offense took a vacation.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
mean,
I don't know what I'm going to see. This is like the first time ever, as long as I've been watching them. Just like this is the first time I on a consistent basis. I just don't know what I'm going to see on a game
yeah.
to day basis. I'm just not. I don't know. It's Jekyll Hyde.
It's almost like we're back in those later Maneri years where
Yeah.
you don't know which team you're gonna get. You're either gonna get the pitching team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll go back as far as Aaron Nola at LSU,
Mm-hmm.
where we had tremendous pitching, zero offense. Aaron Nola, this was at Florida, went a full game, and Florida walked him off, and he lost a one-run game, you know? I can't attest to that offense or that defense, at that point, but pitching, you never know what you're gonna get. You're either gonna get the very offensive LSU team, but your pitching lacks. And I'll say this, the 8 games to start the season, we had a complete team.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let me rephrase that. We had a complete-ish team because we still were making errors and stuff that kept teams in games that we should have put them out with our high-powered offense and our great pitching.
Yeah, but I'm with you though. It's just yeah, I'm with you because it's like you were still you were more even though you trailed in a lot of those games, you were productive enough, and then like you pulled
Yeah,
away, productive, and you pulled away. So
exactly.
so
So my tone-setting Tiger of the week is the same as Will's. It's the entire team. But while his is for inconsistencies, mine is you lack a mindset.
mhm,
You lack a mindset and an identity. You don't have either. There's nothing special about your team energy. These LSU teams of the past, they might not have had the big personality, but they had a distinctive leadership
yeah, that's it
to
right there.
them. And this team lacks that leadership. There's no guy that I can look to on field that gets the big hit or does this and has that attitude. This team lacks attitude. They don't have it. And until they figure that out, we're going to keep getting a lot of the same results.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it only takes one guy to come out and say, this is, this is our team. This is our way we play. This is our attitude. This is how we're going to go forth. I think what would really help them is if they stopped, took a look at it. Like, I'll go back to the 23 team when they played that SEC after that SEC championship. They got back to Baton Rouge. The first thing that Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens, Gavin Dugas, and those guys did was Trey Morgan called a team meeting and told them, look, we need to do ABC better before we can win a national championship.
Yeah,
And I don't think they lost a game after that until they lost to, or should I say, got screwed out of a game with Wake Forest, because I didn't forget. I still have those screenshots of that track man where that umpire screwed Ty Floyd the entire game. But, they don't have that attitude. They don't have that team player. I haven't heard any word of them calling a team meeting. And I feel like that should have happened after the Sac State series loss.
yeah,
We need leadership. We need to be calling team meetings. We need to get in players only meetings, I should say, too. Not even team meeting means coaches too. Players only meeting would solve a lot of issues, I feel like. But, You know, we can talk about all of this, we can do all of that, but what it boils down to is they need to get out there, they need to show up with attitude, they need to do what they need to do, and they need to play ball. Play your style of ball. You're not the 23 team, you're not the 25 team, you're the 2026 team. And you gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say, I was say, I'm so glad you said that because that's the problem. Specifically, what I've seen from offense, it's like you have guys that are just elevating the ball so much. It's just like, particularly
Mhm.
Uriel and Zach York. I think, listen, brother, listen. And I say this all the time. Just I'm not so fixated on you get. I don't need six guys hitting 25 home runs. I don't need that. Is it great to see a home run? I love seeing all home runs.
Mhm.
But listen, that's not Derek Curriel's game. Your game is getting on base, getting contact on the bat. Zach York, play discipline. Yeah, you have the ability to hit the home run, but your strength is play discipline. Get on base, please. Get on base.
Zach York could hit as many to the wall singles as he wants to, as long as he's contributing and he gets on base.
That's and you could see them both pressing because Curriel was playing out of his style. Zach is just pressing. Like, just listen, just get on base. Make it easy for the pitching. Like, you can't waste elite pitching.
Exactly. You know, you can make parallels to football team as of the last couple of years under Shithead. We had really good offensive play, terrible defensive play. Or we had really good defensive play and terrible offensive play. We never had it, God forbid, we had terrible special teams when the other two actually showed a pulse and played together for once.
Like, you just can't, and that's the thing, man. You just can't waste good production, especially if it's elite level production. You cannot waste it.
Exactly. You can't waste it. But on a much happier note, I think this team will come around. They'll finally figure it out. And I read a few things this week, specifically today, about our basketball team. And it looks like Will Wade might actually, to Baton Rouge, might actually be a possibility,
Oh man, that is something. That is something.
especially after April 1st. I think Will Wade's buyout, if we have to buy him out to get him to come here, drops down by 2 million. Certainly drops down a couple million. You know, I think that'll be something. We still haven't fired McMahon yet, so keep in mind that it's Will Wade or bust. So we might still have the same team leadership as we did this year, but you know, we get Will Wade. Think about that coach's room, okay? You sitting at a table and the athletic department has a meeting. They look at their coaches. They invite their coaches to dinner, and you get Jay Johnson, Kim Mulkey, Jay Clark, Lane Kiffin,
So what?
and Will Wade.
Oh, listen,
What a wonderful time at LSU that would be.
yeah. The thing is, like, I will say, I'm just curious to see how the will thing will turn out because this is a very unique LSU in terms of men's basketball. It's a terrible. We are a terrible job. It's a terrible job, but just this is a unique circumstance because he's
I mean,
coached here
you're gonna,
before, and you have like the
yeah,
McNeese leadership, most likely, like, all going to be there at once. They got two guys already,
yeah,
president. But so it's a unique circumstance. But I'll see what happens. Depends on what the AC
yeah.
State offer is.
I mean, he has unfinished business in Baton Rouge because poor leadership. Look, I'm not saying that he didn't do those things and he shouldn't have been fired when we fired him.
Yeah.
But that year when we had the best chance we've had in a decade or two to actually do something in the NCAA tournament, you wait till the NCAA tournament to suspend him and blow our chances, and then you fire him. I mean, look, that just doesn't look good. Didn't leave a good taste in our mouths. It didn't leave a good taste in his mouth. And I think, like you said, we've got McNeese State guys who hired him. Look, he comes back. I think we'll be fine. I think he'll get this team where it needs to be. I don't think we're gonna build a new arena
For nothing.
have 2 basketball teams. I think we're gonna wanna have 2 basketball teams when we build this arena and not a one team and a rec league team,
Which
you know? But we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully by next episode, we'll have some good news, but that'll do it from us. I don't have any closing remarks. I think LSU played really good last night against Tech. I think that's a good momentum builder for the rest of the week.
yes, for sure.
Going in, I think Kentucky is
According to LSU, they're number 21. They might be as high as 18 though. It's like they because there's so many they're different polls. According to LSU
let's
website, there's
see.
about they're 21st, but they might be as high as
I
18.
think 19 is what
Okay.
Diamond has them as, and they go off of deep, which let me see if I can find them. Shout out to Diamond
Yes.
Baseball Stats for coming out with a college baseball app, completely centered college baseball app. You can do a bunch of things. We are not sponsored by them, by the way. I just found this, happened to be on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and found them, and they have stuff where you can make player cards. You can look at team stats. Like, I'll give you one right now. For our matchup on Friday, pitchers wise, Kentucky's probable starter is Ben Cleaver. He's 1-1, 18 and a third innings pitched with a 2.45 ERA and 24 Ks versus Kason Evans who's 2-0, 4.8 ERA, 30 innings pitched in 50 Ks. And you can create a player card. You can check in at the games. All the stats are on this one page. One that I think is fun that I've kind of played with is can do a fantasy team.
Hmm.
You can
Interesting.
rip packs, get players, and put these players in positions on the field and get a score and a ranking each week. I think each game, actually. It's not each week, it's each game. Kind of like a fantasy type of deal. But it puts everything in your hand and it tracks every college team, tells you the radio, gives you a way to listen to them, and gives you a way to watch them if you want to watch them. Gives you updates. A really cool concept, a really good app. I'd love to see where they go. But shout out to those guys. They're really good. I will try to put the link to their app in the description of the video. But that'll do it for me. What you got? You got any closing thoughts?
Like I said, just I was pleased to see the performance yesterday. It was with Zach York. Hopefully, that's just a signs of things to come. Big morale booster for him. Yeah, I'm just glad to see him get up and break out of that slump at least for the moment. Yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm eager to see what they look like against Kentucky because they just need a series win.
Yeah.
I just got to see some consistency and steadiness.
Yeah. Big series win would help us tremendously,
Yes,
especially since you were at home.
that's it.
You're at home and you go on a 2-week. Let's see, I got it pulled up. After this week, you play home versus Kentucky. Then you go to Tennessee for Easter weekend. Then you go to Ole Miss. Then you come home, play Texas A&M, and then you're back on the road at Mississippi State to finish out April. And then you come home and play South Carolina. Then you're back on the road at Athens and then finish the season out at home against Florida. So you need to get these home series wins in front of your home crowd on your home field. So we'll see how they will, and we'll report back each and every week and let you know how they do.
Yes, sir.
And just that'll do it for me. Please like, share, subscribe, stream it, and look, whatever you do, just have a good day, a great night, a great week. Whatever you have, just make it a great one. We will see you next week. That's it from us.
Later.
Bye.